Oh my god, I killed Nathan Drake. Happy holidays, hello, and welcome back to Square Pegs, everybody. I am Jay. I'm wearing my holiday finest. If you know, you know. And today we are talking about things that I think may be a little bit overlooked, a little bit underrated, a little bit forgotten in the grand scheme of things. And we are talking about the Game Boy Advance. Now, I don't think there's a bad way to play a Game Boy Advance game. Whether you want to do it on the original, whether you want to do it on an SP, whether you want to play on a DS Lite, or you want to play on the Game Boy player on the GameCube, you're set. You're going to have fun. It's going to be a great time. Now, I've done a lot of Game Boy Advance stuff in the past, and I'm not going to go over all of the games I've talked about before. I think everyone has heard enough about Fantastic Four Flame On. If you haven't played it, you should. But I want to talk about some games that I think people may have just overlooked, may have forgotten about in the grand scheme of things with the Game Boy Advance. So what do you say? Let's take a look now at some forgotten and overlooked games on the GBA. There's a couple of games on this list that are loving tributes to classic throwbacks, and Godzilla Domination is a throwback to King of the Monsters from SNK. This was developed by WayForward, and it is a really, really fun game. Doesn't have a huge roster. There's only 6 monsters to choose from. You can play as Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, King Ghidorah, Mothra, Megalon, or Rodan. And it's a fighting game in a city. It's an arena fighter, just like King of the Monsters was. There's destructible environments. You're able to use your different powers. Everyone has like 3 levels of special moves, which is really cool. And I think it looks incredible. I mean, the look of the game is solid. It's a WayForward title, so you know the look is going to be good. But the gameplay is really enjoyable as well, especially if you are a King of the Monsters fan, because like I said, this is a great throwback to that fantastic title. It's a beautiful game to look at. It's a fun game to play, and I really, really enjoy this one. And there's a mixture of good and bad as far as Godzilla video games go, but this one here, this one is worth picking up. And if you're looking for one around the same time frame on the GameCube, Destroy All Monsters Melee is also fantastic, but we're talking GBA today. Big fan of the Tales series, and Tales of Phantasia on the GBA is wonderful. This is a port of a Super Famicom game. I think this is the first time we got it here in the States, was on the GBA. I could be wrong about that. It might have been on a different console before that. I'm not sure, but it's one that I really, really enjoy. It's a great addition to the Tales franchise. It's one of the earlier entries, so you kind of see the genesis of where the title came from. And the combat in the game and the gameplay is wonderful. Like the active kind of movement combat that is kind of a signature of the Tales series is present here. It's presented on a 2D plane, which is really interesting because I started the Tales series on the 3D Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube. So that was my first exposure to the Tales franchise. So this was all new to me. The storyline is great. The music in the game is wonderful. The gameplay is solid across the board. It's a great entry into the Tales series. And if you are looking for a solid JRPG that might be something you haven't played before because it wasn't really available at the time it released here in the States back on the Super Famicom, it's worth checking out. It's a really, really fun title. TMNT is based on the animated movie of the same name, and if you didn't see it, you're one of many, because not a lot of people did see it. I did, and I loved it. I thought it was an absolutely spectacular movie. And the video game here on the GBA is a welcome addition to a storied beat-em-up franchise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I loved the GameCube version. The Game Boy Advance version might be better. The challenge is higher, certainly, on the GBA than it was on the GameCube. The graphics in the game look fantastic. The combat is wonderful. You are able to go through the storyline of the film and play as each of the different turtles as you go. It's an absolutely marvelous game. I mean, it's what you would expect for a Ninja Turtles beat-em-up. It doesn't break the mold in a lot of ways. It just plays incredibly well. And I know at the time a lot of folks were not into the Ninja Turtles, which sucks because this movie and this game are wonderful. Really enjoy this one. If you didn't play it because it's a licensed title, if you overlooked it because it was a film you weren't interested in, that's a shame. You should really play it. So what do you get when you combine Twisted Metal with a kind of generic JRPG? You get Car Battler Joe. Now this is one probably not so much underrated as it is overlooked, because at least in my experience, it's a game I hadn't heard of until well after the GBA was out of publication. And it's a shame because this game is fantastic. The footage you're seeing is from the Wii U eShop. I bought it there before the Virtual Console went away, before the Wii U shut down. And the game is just an absolute blast to play. So you are responsible for constructing your car. You buy upgrades for it and things like that. It's kind of a light RPG. It's not really a terribly heavy one, but The car customization is fun. The car combat is really fun when you're actually in the actual like exploration and combat area of the game. It's a really good time. And I just think it's a truly unique and bizarre kind of game. Like it's a really well put together title. I think that's probably the best way I can describe it, and the best compliment I can give it is it's something that's put together well, it plays incredibly well, and it is just a really, really fun time on the GBA. I love Universal Monsters, and I love interpretations of Universal Monsters, so this game here, Monster Force, is something I really, really appreciate. And I think the thing I like the most about it is that the gameplay is familiar. It's a little bit Zombies Ate My Neighbors, it's a little bit Gauntlet. So this is that other game I was talking about that's a loving throwback when I was talking about Godzilla at the start. I really do dig the hell out of this game. It's all told from the perspective of Dr. Frankenstein's gone bad, you need to stop him. So everyone understands that. You can play as Frankenstein, you can play as the Wolfman, you can play as Dracula. And the look of the game is really awesome. They're all super deformed and kind of chibi style, little anime-inspired Universal Monsters here. And the gameplay is just fun. Like, it's not a deep game by any stretch of the imagination. It's not doing anything that's really kind of like overwhelmingly crazy or over-the-top fun, but it's a neat idea. It's a neat concept, and it executes pretty well. I really enjoy this one. This is a fun title, and if you dig the Universal Monsters, it's worth checking out. Wade Hickston's Counterpunch is the best Punch-Out game you've never played, and I know for fans of the GBA, they're going to look at me and scoff and say everyone has played Wade Hickston's Counterpunch, but you would be surprised at how many people have never even heard of the damn game, which is a shame, because this game is incredible. It is one of the best boxing titles I've ever played. It is, much like Punch-Out, something that does not take itself too seriously, so the characters are caricatures, which is a welcome thing to experience. The combat in the game is spectacular. It's a really solid fighting experience. It's challenging while still giving you those Punch-Out vibes of figuring out the cadence and the rhythm of the characters that you're fighting against and their tells to be able to work your way through the different fights. The storyline is ridiculous and hilarious. The graphics in the game are wonderful. It feels like the Super Punch-Out arcade, as Wade's kind of see-through, as you can see the enemies in the background. Wade's in the foreground, but he's opaque, so you can see through him. It's just a wonderful title across the board. There's a lot to love about this game, and the challenge is absolutely one of them, and then the ridiculousness of the title is the other, as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely spectacular game. As a big fan of platformers, I do like it when a platformer will toss in kind of additional gameplay elements, and that's one of the reasons I like Lady Sia so much, because it tosses in some really good hack and slash combat, so it feels a little bit like a mix of Golden Axe and just a standard kind of platformer. It's a really fun title. I think the best game I can compare it to, and one of my favorite games to compare it to, is the Pirates of Dark Water game on the Genesis. They play very similarly in that regard. I do think Lady Sia is a better title overall, though. I think the combat overall in the game is really good. The look of the game is fantastic. The animation system is wonderful. There's some really solid puzzles throughout the game as well, which is always a welcome thing in a good platformer, is some good puzzle elements as well. And it's just a solidly constructed game. And it's something where this isn't one I had heard of until I believe it was Radical Reggie on one of Metal Jesus' videos mentioned it. And it was something I looked for a couple of years. And I got lucky and I found it at, I think, Torg Gaming Expo a couple of years ago. I found it at that show. It's a really fun title to play, though, and one that I never hear anyone talk about outside of Reggie. So if you're looking for a good platformer with some really fun combat elements in it, Lady Sia is worth checking out. The Game Boy Advance was a sneaky good console for racing games. It was also a sneaky good console for terrible racing games. But I am so happy that something like Top Gear Rally exists on the Game Boy Advance, because it is a marvelous rally racing game. First off, you have spotter audio in the game, so it's telling you exactly what kind of corners are coming up as you're playing, so you know exactly what type of turn you have to work with. The graphics look great. The controls are wonderful. The gameplay is solid. It is just a really, really fun rally racing game. And I, as someone who loves rally racing games and has been a fan of them since Rally Sport Challenge on the original Xbox, so now going back like 25 years, this one is up there in the upper echelon of great rally racing games, and it's portable. You cannot beat that. If you've never played this one, you should check it out. The gameplay is wonderful, the course designs are really good, and it's something where you can see the ambition in play, and you can see how well they executed it, And it's on like it's on a fine line of where it could be over executed or underutilized to make it just unbalanced and not fun. But the team behind this game absolutely crushed it. Top Gear Rally is magnificent. I mean, if you saw my video last week, you know I'm a fan of beat-em-ups, and I love the original Gekido on the PlayStation. And Gekido Kintaro's Revenge on the GBA is a really solid addition into that franchise. I was shocked at how well it plays. This is a really fun kind of single-player solo experience, focusing only on one character as opposed to the multiple characters from the original PlayStation game. And the combat in the game is really good. There's just simple, basic combat that happens, but it's all done incredibly well with some solid animations, a fun combat system, and a really intriguing story that makes you want to keep going with the game to learn more. I'm really impressed by this one. I think it's a really solid title that has done some really kind of impressive work here for something that could have just been phoned in. It wasn't. It actually had a ton of care put into it, and I really appreciate that. This is a really wonderful game. There's also a re-release on the Nintendo Switch, which I think is fascinating. I had no idea it was there until literally today when I was looking up information about the game to make sure I was actually giving facts about it. So if you're interested in playing it on a modern console, you can get it on the Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So there's options there for you to try it out. As someone who is not a fan of the books or the movie of Aragon, it took me until literally this year to play the Game Boy Advance game. And it sucks that it took me this long because the game is amazing. It's legitimately spectacular. It's a fantastic turn-based RPG. It has a great combat system where you're actually able to input different button presses to perform different combos. There's a good magic system involved. The storyline is like solid, like it follows the book or the movie, whichever you prefer. I mean, they're basically the same thing. And it's just really good. Like, it's a really well-made game, which I did not expect at all. As someone who loves licensed games, I overlooked this one for literally decades because I had no interest in the license, and that's a shame because the game is wonderful. Really, really shocked at the quality of this one, and I'm pleased because it's given me an appreciation, not necessarily of the source material, but of at least this game, because I think it's a fun kind of perfect experience on the GBA. As a longtime fan of the Metal Slug series, Metal Slug Advance is a welcome addition to the franchise. It plays like a traditional Metal Slug game, so if you've played any of those, you've played this one. You know what to do. It's a run-and-gun game, and it's incredibly difficult, but there are some key changes here and things that I really appreciate. So one of the things that was added was a life bar. And if you have played Metal Slug first or second mission on the Neo Geo Pocket Color, you know that's where they borrowed that from. So rather than one hit, one death, you actually have a life bar you can play with. So it's neat because different attacks will do different levels of damage and things like that. There's also a card system in play here that will give you information on different things, and you have to find that either from hostages or there's some environmental stuff that you can trigger to get them as well. So there's things to collect in the game as well, which puts in and just kind of guarantees replay value because you're not going to find them all in one play. It's really great. Really, really excellent entry into the Metal Slug series, and one that you would expect to be good. Like, I don't really feel that this one is underrated, but I again, kind of like with stuff like Lady Sia, it's not one I ever hear people talk about. They tend to talk about other run-and-gun games on the GBA, kind of like, what was it, CT, can't remember what it is. It's a Special Forces game that's another run-and-gun that is good, but it doesn't hold a candle to this one. This one is just spectacular across the board. There you have it, folks. 10 fantastic, overlooked, and underrated games on the Game Boy Advance. I really do enjoy all of these games. These are ones that I think deserve recognition, deserve their flowers, and are incredibly fun. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite overlooked and underrated GBA games are. It's a massive library, so I do not have an exhaustive knowledge of the library. I'm sure there's stuff I'm overlooking, but please do let me know. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, you really enjoyed it, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you stick around. Until next time, folks, I've been Jay. Appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. I will be back after Christmas, so happy holidays to you. Thank you all for being here. And until next time, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.